Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Look here. Man, old gal, she talking to another dude, y'all. And she feeling guilty about it, but, you know what I'm saying, she ain't saying nothing to Fred about it. She ain't gonna tell it. But Fred ain't slow. He noticing something ain't right here. But his focus is staying on the bread. I'm telling y'all now, his focus is about that money. That's it. He ain't thinking about nothing else. He ain't gonna think about nothing else. He ain't gonna let his mind wander there. He wants to make sure he has control, not because he cares, but because he wants to make sure he gets his bread. His emotions in his mind is not in it. But that's a lie. That's a lie. See, it's one thing about gangsters, right? People that are affiliated. Their hearts, our hearts, get into it just as much as y'all's do. But see, we won't admit it because we have these insecurities too. We have these insecurities. So we try to make everything transactional. You do for me, I do for you, right? We don't want to be vulnerable because being vulnerable means you have some control over me, right? Is that making any sense? But listen to me, just hear me out. So she's sneaking around talking to dude and she don't want to mess things up with, you know what I'm saying, Fred's parents and all this. So she don't want them to know she's seeing somebody. Not seeing them, let me phrase that a little better. She don't want them to know that she's talking to somebody innocently. She don't want them to know that. Because she's thinking that they might decide that you can't stay here. You know what I'm saying? The only reason that they're letting her stay there is because of Fred. So she don't want to mess that up. So now the people that are providing her with a place to live, she's keeping stuff from them too. So it throws the whole dynamic of the relationship that she has with everybody off. They start to know that she's acting different. Something is wrong here. But you know, that part-time job, it went to a full-time gig. But she didn't tell dude about that. She didn't tell Fred about that. Right? She didn't want to piss him off because she had already agreed to work part-time. She's just telling him that I'm just working extra hours. But I'm going to make sure I come to see you on the weekend. Period. I'm always going to be here on the phone, this and that. He cool with that. So now it's time to pop that whip and see if she'll put in work. She said she'll put in work. And he tells her, look, at the next visit, he said, look, I'm going to need you to bring something to me. I got everything worked out. She's looking at him all strange and all. She's like, how am I going to bring it? Do I bring it, you know what I'm saying, to visit and give it to them and they hand it to you, meaning the officers? He started laughing like, nah. He said, I'm going to need you to smuggle it in to me. So she's starting to ask all of these questions. And what comes out is that he wants her to put that thing in the vault. Now, y'all know what the vault is. We're not going to even go through that, you know what I'm saying, and act like we all green and naive. You know what I'm saying? Going to put it up in that vault. So, she looks at him, and her eyes get huge. She's like, what? First of all, she's thrown off that he would even ask her to do something like that. And then the next part is she's like trying to picture in her mind that, is this something that people do? You want me to put something in my body and bring it into a prison where if I get caught, I can go to jail. This is what she's rationalizing in her mind. And he's looking at her and he's serious. And he puts his hand on top of her hand and start rubbing because he's noticing that she's getting stressed out. So he wants to keep her at ease. Remember what I said. Look, appeal to the emotion to keep you from thinking logically. You understand? So he got her and he said, look, don't worry about it, baby. I got everything under control. Matter of fact, I got somebody that's going to help you, you know what I'm saying, fix the pack and show you how to put it up in you and everything. And she looked at him like, who? Because that's embarrassing to her. She said she don't want nobody to know she's putting something up inside there. You understand what I'm saying? So she looks at him and he points at this other female that's up there visiting her dude, which happens to be one of his brothers. He points at her. He says, you see her right there? She bought her dude something today. She said, what? Because she was in line with her when they were coming in. She said, He said, yes, she did. She said, I couldn't even tell. He said, no, they not going to be able to tell either. And then she asked, she said, well, how did she get it to him? And he tells her, said, when you go into the restroom, all you got to do is hide it in the restroom. I'm going to tell you where to hide it. And then one of my brothers, he going to get it later on when they clean up. She's looking at him like, what? And he notices she's about to say no. So then he said, look, and I'm going to pay you too. She said, pay me? She said, I'm not going to charge you if I do that. He's like, no. We in this together. We in this together. So she says, how much? And he throw a number at her. He know how much she making it work and all this. He throw a number at her. It's almost as much as she make it work for a whole week. But see, again, he don't know she working full time, but that part time, oh, that money gonna eat that up. So she looking at him like, what? And he said, with this, we'll be able to get us a place sooner rather than later. And she looking at him like, hey, I'll be able to move out and do my own thing, won't nobody be in my business or none of that. That he don't even know I'm working full time, so I'll be able to save and then make sure that when he come home, everything is straight, everything's super straight. She was like, well, when you want me to do it? He said, next week. She thinks about it, and then she says, okay, but when she gonna be able to show me? When you leave visit, you gonna leave and you gonna go, you know what I'm saying, with her. And she said she gonna show you how to wrap it and how to put it up in that thing. She said, well, where am I gonna get it? And he looks at her, he tells her, look, she gonna take care of that. And she said, I ain't got no money. He said, it's already been paid for. She said, you paid for it? He was like, yeah, I already paid for that. She said, how'd you know I was gonna do it? He looks at her with that little shy, coy look on his face, right? He said, because I know you love me. Again, appealing to the emotion so she can't think logically. You feel what I'm saying? He don't want her to think. He don't need her to think. She get to thinking, she gonna realize she running into a brick wall. No. Don't think. No, don't think. So they finish up the visit. He kissing on a little bit more than he normally does. He rubbing on her leg a little bit more than he normally does. All of these different types of things to keep her throwed off balance. But what happened was something unexpected for her. When he rubbed on her leg and moved his hand a little bit closer to the middle of her pants and all this and that, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't need to get graphic. Use your imagination. This is an adult channel. Y'all understand. She started thinking about dude. Oh, yeah. She started thinking about dude. And she stopped him real quick. Said, stop. Don't start nothing. But what it was, she was feeling guilty. She was feeling guilty because it's like, why am I thinking of him, she said to herself. She couldn't understand why he popped in her head. So the visit ends. She gets out into the parking lot, and an old girl pull up on her and said, look, can you come by my place? Just follow me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to show you how to do this. It ain't nothing to it, girl. We'll do this and that. So she tells her, yeah. So she goes by. She stops at Gal's apartment. They go in the room, you know what I'm saying, go up in the apartment, go in the room, and she got the bomb. She got one already made. And she said, I'm going to show you how to make it look like this. The old girl picks it up, and she's like, dang, it's kind of heavy. She's like, what is it? She said, that's an ounce of weed and a half ounce of powder. She said, that don't sound heavy, but it feel heavy. She said, oh, it ain't nothing to it. I'm going to show you. So she grabbed the same amount of stuff, you know what I'm saying, and she sits down and she proceeds to wrap it. Then when she gets it all wrapped good and all that, she starts putting the tape around it. And as she's putting the tape around it, old girl watching intently. She's learning, she's studying. She's like, oh, that's it? She was like, yeah. She said, wait a minute. One more thing. She said, when was the last time you had sex? And old girl looked at her, she said, it's been a minute. She said, you ain't even played with it or nothing? And she was like, it's been a minute. She didn't want to tell old girl that. You understand what I'm saying? Come on now. Let's keep it real. So she said, look, then this might hurt a little bit, She said, but, you know, once you get that thing loose up in there, you're going to be fine. She said, and put some Vaseline on the outside of it, right? So she said, you want to try it? Old girl looked at her embarrassed, and Gal said, go on in that restroom right there and try it. There ain't nobody thinking about you. So she gives it, and she gives up a jar of Vaseline petroleum jelly. She goes on into the restroom, into the bathroom. She's in the bathroom. She opens up the jelly, puts it on it, and then she sits down. And she's holding this thing. She's thinking about it. Then she puts it down there, and she slowly positions it, and then she pushes. And it goes in. And while she's sitting there, she starts to think about, dude. And she continues to push it in. But once she feels that it's in, she decides to pull it back out just a little bit. Because dude is on her mind. And she's thinking, well, why waste the opportunity? Then she pushes it in, and then she stops herself because she realizes she's not at home. So old girl knocks on the door, said, you straight? She was like, yeah. She said, did it work? She was like, yeah. She said, okay then. Now come on out here now. You need to wrap one yourself. So she gets herself together, washes her hands and does all this and that, and washes the bomb off and whatnot because she didn't want girls smelling her and all this and that. So when she comes back out, she got her, now she's wrapping one herself, and she's fast. She's learning. She got it. It was a little awkward size, bigger than the other one, but she understood the point. She said, you got to squeeze it and make it as small as you can, you know what I'm saying? But that's on you, because you got to remember, you know what I'm saying, they got to get it back. So old girl looked at her and said, well, how do they get it back? And Gal started laughing. She said, they got a mule. She said, a mule? What's a mule? And she said, somebody up in that VG that's going to put it up in them. And she said, what? Put it up in them? How in the world are they going to do that? So she starts to tell her exactly what's going on. And she just looks at it like, he ain't doing that, is he? And she's like, no. They got people to do that for them. She's like, oh my God. She said, I don't know what they got going on. She said, they getting that money. Old girl understand the game too. She don't want her to think about the making of the sausage. She just want her to think about what that sausage is like when you put it on that bread. You feel what I'm saying? So she wraps up one and gets it right on her second try. They sit down, they drink a bottle of wine, you know what I'm saying, and all this and that. And old girl said, look, I gotta go. On her way home, right, she a little tipsy. She don't live that far away. She a little tipsy though. She started thinking about dude. She grabbed her phone, she dialed his number. He answered on the second ring. What up, dude? She like, what you doing? And he say this, she say that, and all this and that. He said, where you been? What you doing? What you got going on? All this and that, right? She tell him about going to the prison and visiting him and telling him how, you know, dude had touched her, and all of a sudden he pops up in her head, and she felt bad about that. And she said, you know, you think I'm a bad person, don't you? And he was like, nah. Why would he say that? Why would he play into something that's going to make her feel bad? He trying to get some. You know what I'm saying? So they go on and they talk for a minute. She said, well, I'll talk to you later. I just had to get that out. And he was like, this ain't got to end. She was like, what you mean? He said, well, what you thought you was feeling, you can feel it for real. You know, like that, right? He shoot his shot. She was like, nah, I ain't ready yet. I ain't ready yet. He said, well, at least you said yeah. I know it's coming. She started laughing and just hung the phone up without saying bye or anything. And she gets to the house, goes into the room, you know what I'm saying? And she sits there, and then this particular night, she did her thing. She went in. She had to get it off. You understand what I'm saying? She had to get it off. The next day, she goes to work. Everything is fine. Her and dude talking a little bit more on the break than they normally do. Her dude called, and she don't take the phone call, or she take the call and she say, look, I got to go back to work, or I don't have enough time to talk and all this. But she makes it sound good, and she's real polite and nice, and I love you, baby, and all this and that. And dude is sitting right there. He's sitting right there. But the shenanigans is being played. It's going down. She realizes in that moment that she's really, you know what I'm saying, wanting to be with dude, not because she loves him or anything like that. She's desiring some physical contact. It's just that on that. It's purely transactional. You understand? She just wants something from him, and she knows that he wants something from her. So she's like, why not? So she tells him, she said, look, when we gonna go on and get to it? And he was like, whenever you ready. You told me that you wasn't ready. Are you ready now? And she says, I think I am. So he says, on the next break, let's go to the parking lot. Oh, he plays just straight like that. Listen to me, y'all. He don't bother saying let's get a room. He don't bother saying let's wait till the night. He don't bother doing any of that. During the day, all in the public eye, in the parking lot. This is how much he respects her. But wait a minute, hold up. The same game popping on the emotion, right? Listen to me. That Fred is doing, he doing too. But see, she's a willing participant in this. She's opened herself up to him. She's feeling that itch and she wants somebody to scratch it. So she don't care where it's at. She's not thinking, somebody might see me, or I don't need to be doing this out in the public whether anybody sees me or not. None of that is registered because she's not thinking logically. She's thinking emotionally with a touch of physicalness on top of it. So the next break, they go out into the parking lot. They sitting in the car. He got these blinders like you could put in the front of the car to keep the heat from shining in through the car. And he got one in the front and one in the back, so can't nobody even see who's in the car, right? But wait a minute. The car gonna move if they get to rocking. So they out in the parking lot. He's done this before. He said, look, let me do something for you because we don't want the car to move because people might see. He knows. He don't want nobody to be seeing that car move like that. You know what I'm saying? So he tells her, get in the back, right? She gets in the back, and then he climbs in the back. He throw her legs up on his shoulders, and he go to work. Like he done tied on the bib. He eat. He got her just screaming and gripping the seat, gripping the side of his head, everything. And he tells her, shh, be quiet. She looks down at him and nods her head, but eyes wide open like a smoker. He got tongue, finger, everything all up in that thing. And then she starts to gyrate. She's into it. And before she knew it, all in his face. All in his face. Then he gets up, he wipes his face clean. He said, my turn. She looks at him and said, huh? He said, my turn. So they both climb back up into the front seat. He got his pants down, whipped out. She go to work. She go to work. And within a few minutes, he's satisfied. Now she looking at him while she wiping her mouth and all this and that. And he said, the next time it's going to be better. Now she caught up. Her mind is this flip. She's like, oh my. Because it's been a minute. It's been a minute. And this wasn't, you know what I'm saying, the full-on penetration. But now she sees him different. Her eyes are glossed over. You feel me? Her eyes gloss over. And immediately the guilt sets in. Immediately the guilt sets in. She starts thinking about Fred. And he reads that. Because he's been through this before. And he said, look, he don't need to know. You just need somebody right now. And I'm going to be that somebody for you. So don't feel bad about it. You think he in there ain't doing his thing? And she looked at him like, what you mean by that? He ain't gay. And he was like, no, that ain't what I'm talking about. Think about it. And if you want to know how this plays out, you're going to have to tune in to the next episode, y'all. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.